really should just come on swearing like a normal. See? You did not say quiet. Every show. Are we live? All right, awesome. Hi, everybody. Welcome to Living Critically. Sunday night. Yes, it's Sunday night. Hi, John. How are you?
Oh, I'm good. I'm good. How's everybody doing over here?
How about you? I don't know who wouldn't know you, but you could tell everybody who you are and what you do if you want.
Yeah, I make I mean maybe you remember me from last time, but I make animations on YouTube and yeah.
As I point at my tits. Great billboard.
I don't animate those. I just animate cartoons with
a slider, so
right. But yeah, for the usually about the religious debate, I'm considered one of the YouTube atheists, but
one of
the early ones.
You're like I don't want to say grandfather because that was just
I'm getting there. That's what they'll call me eventually. But
12
I've always 12 years. I've always just kind of done my own thing though. I've kind of been part of the community yet separate from the community, if you even want to call it a community, just kind of off doing my own stuff, a loner.
Yeah, so I dragged you into this shit though. We're slowly putting you into the fold. It's so weird because we're these tiny little channels. We're getting you to come over to our community, please.
Oh, well, I don't see myself as any. I mean, I just for some reason my videos took off early on, but I'm just like everybody else. I don't see myself as being better than anyone.
Well, a few people, but I mean, not
right.
You.
I mean, maybe I'm better than the president or a few odd people here and there.
Yeah. You have your Twitch channel too.
Yeah, that's more like where I probably should be, because that's my small Twitch channel.
We have a lot of fun there.
It's
a nice little group of people that come hang out on Friday nights, and we're all getting to know each other pretty well, and we listen to you talk to the chat or listen to one of your friends yell at you for 4 hours or whatever.
Right. And that's the nice thing about having a smaller channel like my Twitch channel, and is that with the Dark Matter channel, it's just pretty much one way. It's one direction.
Yeah.
I post something and there's too many comments, where I can't, recognize everybody.
Yeah.
Everyone's a stranger. They know me, but I don't know them. But with like a smaller channel, like with what I do on Twitch, it's still small. I don't know if it'll ever get big. Probably not. But at least I know most of the people, and and can talk.
We've talked about ways to I don't want to say make it bigger, because it could be as big as you want it to be, but it's nice to be able. I think someone like you that to most of the community seems very unreachable, and being able to come in on a Friday night and hang out with Dark Matter is kind of cool. I'm with that.
Yeah, it's fun. There's a lot of interesting people out there, and I've always been a shy person, and in real life, so it helps me too to talk to people, and the the world is just filled with really interesting people with their own stories, and you can learn a lot just by talking to people.
Yeah. So some shit happened the past couple of weeks. Can't put my finger on it exactly.
I want to say there was some kind of political thing when it happened, but I'm not sure.
I know you voted for Trump, right?
maybe if somebody left a suitcase with $20 million on my
You 20
front,
million to vote for Trump.
yeah, if they did that, and then
Valid.
once I got into the voting booth, I mean, how are they going to
Yeah,
verify
how
it?
do you know?
Yeah,
That's the
I
thing,
could
like
just,
all those poll watchers that came out. I think I told you about that one video, the guy with the sword that was like, I see your license plate. Like, how the fuck are you gonna know who they voted for anyway?
yeah.
So
What if they wanted to vote for your guy? Like,
yeah, and he ends up turning and leaving. And they don't get that vote because you scared him off.
yeah, good lord, the hell.
Some crazy shit though, like crazy shit. Did you see any of the march? Was that yesterday?
Oh, the stupid Million MAGA March thing.
Yeah.
I saw bits and pieces, highlights here and there. People getting into fights and stuff. The usual, like the the stupid tactic that people fall for time and time again, where they only show the end of the fight.
Mm.
They
Like
clip
that.
off the
You see that
beginning.
one Nazi getting punched in the head?
Yeah, yeah, and of course that got popular because that's the only part they showed. They didn't
Mhm.
show the beginning where he started the whole thing,
Yeah,
and
pushed a woman down into the street, like
yeah,
amongst a lot of other people. But this tiny little woman, he just shoves her. He kicked one woman in the head. So, but then you've
yeah,
got, like you said, they show this one clip, and you've got like fucking Fox and the rest of them going, "Oh my God, the liberals are out of control, or anarchists."
Trump himself retweeted that clip.
Oh, what?
Yeah,
Don't.
Trump and he said, "What the hell? What the hell did he say?" Somebody in the chat will know. I forget though, but he's like something about the radical left. Of
It's always
course,
radical left.
yeah. Any opportunity he can seize to push some kind of propaganda,
Yeah, it's
he's going
insane.
to jump on it.
Oh, really quick, you show us your shirt.
Oh, of course.
Makes me cool. The first time you came on my channel, you wore a NASA shirt. So,
Yeah, this is becoming the Manda shirt.
and then this is yours. So we got to work
Yeah,
on your store and get some new ones out. So
yeah.
I'll have a
Yeah.
whole dark matter wardrobe. How about that?
That sounds good, but it's been years.
Yeah, I know. That's
Since
why
I've
you
been.
need to update it.
Yeah, I know. I don't have any good ideas though.
There's plenty of people in the community that would love to help. So utilize them. Like it's like my dick shirt. So I didn't. Well, it's in Robbie's store, but I think
Right.
our friend Sal designed it. Like, group thing. It's fun. So, as your question, has John thought of having Jeffrey take over Yahweh's job?
Oh, I think they had an agreement like that once. I never made that video though. Yeah, I mean, I've thought about what it could be like. Um, I, I should think about that more because think about it. If there actually were a God who is truly benevolent,
Mhm.
then there would still be hardships, but they would be the kind of hardships that build character and not the kind that cause like children to suffer and
Mhm.
die
Yeah.
and animals, like
Yeah.
people who are totally undeserving of such pains. And bad people wouldn't be able to get away with their bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
And
So
it's not like it would be this perfect world where, nobody, like part of life, part of being able to appreciate what's good is being able to experience discomfort once in a while. So I don't think it would be a world completely free of discomfort, but it wouldn't be excessive, unreasonable, unfair, unjust, like the world the way it is now.
mm-hmm.
Which is precisely the kind of world I would expect to see if there was nobody in the pilot seat. It's just
Chaos and
yeah.
simple chaos. I think like the idea of a fair world, just it being fair, period.
Mm-hmm.
It's an interesting thought though, because like what is what fair is to one even culture, let alone one person. So,
Right.
how do you think that?
It gets in the whole issue of moral realism,
Mm-hmm.
and that's a huge debate that rages on.
A little bit.
And yeah, and I'm thinking maybe that might be a bit of a false dichotomy. The moral subjectivism, versus moral realism, moral or objective uh, morality, the way some people describe it. But that might be more of a false dichotomy. It might be more of a more complicated mixture of the two.
Yeah.
Where there's like a framework of objectivity, and then there's subjectivity within that.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of hard to describe. I'd have to flesh it out a little bit more.
Yeah, but like I said, in terms of being fair, and then like how America has the right to the pursuit of happiness.
Mm-hmm.
Is that necessary? And obviously, you can't just give happiness, but in terms of bestowing upon fairness, you bestow upon people the ability to find their happiness, and is that necessary as well?
Yeah, it's you can't make things. You can't have a society where there's unreasonable obstacles for people to find happiness.
Mm-hmm.
But that's
ridiculous power structure, maybe.
Right. Yeah. It's not going to last. When you stack the deck against people, and eventually when they get to the point where they have nothing left to lose, then that's it. That society is going to collapse.
Yeah.
They're not going to have an incentive to keep things running smoothly.
So
they're going to revolt.
Ends up in entropy then.
Yeah. I just think that it's in even the powers that be, it's in their best interests to keep things fair. But it seems to me that they want to keep things as like they try to push it so that it's like always on the brink. Wait, how much can we get away with without things collapsing?
Mm-hmm.
There's no buffer.
Why do you think that is, though? What drives them to that?
Greed, power, just lust for power. Like they.
Sorry, I didn't mean to get deep right away. We were gonna shit Trump.
Yeah, I have to. I have not really fleshed out these ideas right in the moment, but
putting you on the spot. I'm sorry. All right, so favorite part of Trump's downfall so far.
It's I have a love-hate relationship with the people who are in utter denial.
Mm.
It's funny and sad, because I mean they've been trained so well, so thoroughly to reject all of what they refer to as the MSM, the mainstream media, that they reject it outright or don't even pay any attention to it. And then they're given these set outlets that they allow themselves, that they're told are right and good and correct and non-biased, which is ridiculous. Like Newsmax and OAN and Epoch Times, and just like, now you look at these places and they have a completely different electoral map that shows Trump in the lead.
I know.
They show Trump in the lead. They show 5 of the states grayed out. What are they? Arizona, Nevada, Michigan, Wisconsin, not Florida, Georgia, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or no, Pennsylvania. I'm sorry, Pennsylvania is grayed out too.
Mm.
But and then they put little clocks on them. We're still waiting to see, or recount icons on them. We're still waiting to see. Like, these people are totally divorced from reality.
Yeah,
totally divorced. Like, the lawsuits are getting tossed out left and right. They say completely different things in public than they do in the courts, because they are subject to perjury in courts. They can't just lie to the judge. But and it's very telling. And it's and then you have Trump begging for money, like, not just throwing out an email here and there, but just like bombarding, like every 5 hours, bombarding people with emails. We need you, we're gonna match your offer 1,000%, and just ridiculous stuff, like obvious scam shit stuff.
But did you you didn't read my thing for today? Did I tell you I think it was last night that I wrote it. There's a set level. I think it's anything under $8,000 doesn't go to that fund. It goes directly. Trump can use it at his discretion, however he wants.
Ridiculous.
Any single donation under $8,000, which is pretty much all of them, because you're having people scrape together the last $20, because Trump's base is not exactly rich,
No, he built his whole career on being this savvy businessman, billionaire, and he's bilking the poor and middle class for $5 here, $20 there.
Educated, like, what kind of fucked up thing is that to say? He said that in front of a crowd, so it's fucking nuts. Oh, by the way, if you guys have any questions for John, tag MathPig, please. So it's just it's fucking nuts. But like, so how I told you for like, I think it was 4 or 5 days after the election, Fox News was completely off in my house. And for everybody in the chat, I take care of my elderly parents. They're very right wing. Literally, since Trump went down that escalator, Fox News has played in this house every fucking day. Like, as soon as it goes on in the morning, unless there's like a PGA tournament on or something. But so it was off. Like, the TV was off starting from the Tuesday of the election for 5 blissful days. And then I think I texted you right when it happened. I walked down the stairs like, fuck, my mother is watching Fox again. What happened? So it's a break now, because my father, who has dementia, can recognize that Trump has lost. He's like, nope, it's over. But my mother, who got sucked back into Fox and all of that bullshit. No, it's all, it's fraudulent and he's going to win. And it's so sad. It's so sad that people actually, like, even if like recounts helped. You know, which votes do you find that are fraudulent? Just the Biden ones? Just toss. Oh, that must be fraudulent. Must be fraudulent. And he came out with that thing. I think it was yesterday or 2 days ago, where he started listing hundreds of thousands of ballots. I can't remember. I want to say Pennsylvania, like in Pennsylvania or Arizona. That, and it was a specific. It was like 239,000. Stolen from Trump, and it was just
that's silly.
How do you even like quantify that? How do you figure that out? You know,
you don't. It's silly. Like, okay, first of all, the average number of votes that are turned over in a recount is like 200. It's ridiculously low.
Yeah.
It's not going to help. Recounts aren't going to help. His idea of which votes are legal and which are not are just shamelessly, hilariously
illegal. The votes for Biden are fraudulent.
And it's even more transparent than that, because like back in 2016, he accused the Democrats of voter fraud, and he said that 3,000 of the votes, I mean, not 3,000, 3 million.
Exactly. 3 million. He lost the popular vote.
Right. Like 3 million fraudulent votes. How did you arrive at that number? Because that's how much he lost by.
Yeah.
And then he put together a committee as president to investigate it, and they found nothing. His own people found nothing.
Yeah.
And you know, was there an apology? No. It's Trump. So you just double down.
And they're actually going back now and claiming that Hillary still hasn't accepted the election, even though she conceded the next fucking day. So he's pointing back and being like, no, see, she did it too, but it's bullshit. I mean, we all know.
Right. They try to equate it with the Russia stuff, which is a completely different issue. It has nothing to do with ballots, nothing to do with, you know, Russian ninjas sneaking around with stacks of ballots on election day. No, it has to do with Russia messing around on social media, which they were. They were running ads for Trump on social media. They were running sock account bots on social media. They were caught doing that. And it's about their hacking of the DNC, which you can watch Trump on video asking Russia if they have any of Hillary's emails to, you know, hand them over. Like, he's on video on national television saying this. And
like,
you know,
send them over if you find them. And didn't they come out like 3 hours later? I think.
I don't remember, but I saw the video recently because people kept on, like, there's this whole new narrative that there was absolutely nothing to the whole Russia thing, and the whole contention, the whole point of contention was Trump colluding? Was he involved? Like, there was no doubt that Russia was doing shit, but the whole point of contention was Trump involved with that?
Yeah.
And to me, my burden of proof has been met with him just going on television and explicitly asking them, like, obviously.
You know that there's actually no legal collusion is not a legal term. It's something that they can prosecute for. So by saying that there was no collusion, they were telling the truth, because there's nothing, like I said, there's nothing, it's not a prosecutable offense. So they're able to push that narrative and it technically be correct. And I mean, look at the dominoes that fell around him, though, because how many, like, you can't sit there and say, oh, I'm completely vindicated, I did nothing wrong, but have fucking like 6 people in your administration go to fucking prison for it, though. You know, like, how do you put the two together?
there were a lot of them who were indicted. A lot of them went to prison, and Trump has special protections against prosecution because he's the president of the United States. So you
Yeah.
have to wonder. You have to wonder if if he wasn't the president, what kind of trouble would he be in by now?
Yeah.
And I'm wondering if after he gets out, I've said that he's looking at some trouble, but
Mm-hmm.
what I'm concerned about, what I'm wondering is how far will his status as an ex-president carry him in that regard?
Mm-hmm.
Is he going to continue to get special treatment like the son of a bitch has gotten his entire life since he was born?
Yeah. And then another thing I mentioned in the text to you is that this is something they've done for every president that has fucked up. Like, what Ford did for Nixon was, in order to move the country forward, it's a part
Mm,
of the sort. It doesn't. When Ford became president, he decided not to press charges because let's unify the country, let's move forward. But Biden has specifically said that he will not stand in the way one way or the other. I don't know if he'll hold to that though. Do you think he
I
will?
I it 100% would not surprise me if Biden let him off the hook,
Yeah,
because
I think so too.
he yeah, he already is talking like that. He already sounds
And
like
it's
that.
such a fucking mistake because and my biggest issue is all the precedent set under Trump. You'll be
Yeah.
able to look back and say, look, Trump did it. He's a president, therefore presidential behavior. And that is not it's not just bad for it's bad for the Constitution, it's bad for the country. It's just bad overall. And it would be a huge mistake, I think. And it's not just because I want to see Trump arrested, it's because in order for I think our country, yeah, I know there's a whole idea, well, that we're so bipartisan, and by prosecuting him, you split the country further. But the country, in order to survive, needs to say this is the kind of country we're going to be. We're going to have presidential presidents, and we're going to follow the Constitution. We're not going to have somebody come in and say, oh, I'm president, so I'll write any executive order I want to do whatever I want. And that's what scares me. So
And his behavior, he's I don't like the idea of the precedents affecting other politicians who are coming into the
yeah.
government now, who they emulate
Mm-hmm.
Trump. He's affected the discourse in such a way that um, he has spawned these people that reflect. You could see Trump in them,
Yeah.
and
Mm.
that's going to be bad, especially if they're more competent than Trump.
Which is hard to do.
And yeah, the way I see it now is, before Trump, we were trying to get away from the status quo. We were trying to get better. We wanted to improve things. We wanted to progress beyond the status quo. But the way I see it now is that status quo is the improvement now. Like, I just want to get back to the status quo so that we can improve beyond it. First, we have to actually get back there. Like, maybe 8 years of Biden would erase some of that precedent that Trump set, so
Yeah.
that we can kind of like recalibrate. And I'm not confident that Biden is going to be some great president, but maybe it'll be a return to the status quo, and then we can move beyond there and progress from there. Even though I don't want the status quo either, I want better than that. I want to go beyond that.
So because Biden is so planned and moderate, um, I've called him Republican light. Do you think that actually makes him kind of perfect because it's like a step upward toward more progressive instead of throwing us into like the deep end and it blowing up on our faces, I guess. Do you know what I mean? Am I making sense?
You mean like a transition?
Yeah.
Like, well, I don't. I know that the others. I know that the right won't see him that way. The right will see even Biden as a communist because they're like cartoon characters now. They have no fucking. They're completely divorced from reality.
All
When
right.
you're calling Biden a socialist, it's
Yeah.
they're just gone.
hmm Brother John had a question I thought was interesting. If it was to go to the Supreme Court and ruled for Trump, would you accept the outcome of the constitutional process?
Not without evidence that there was voter fraud, not without strong evidence, um, because it's all too perfect.
Mm-hmm.
You have three of those Supreme Court justices who were appointed by Trump
Yeah.
in the nick of time, in literally in the nick of time for
Mm-hmm.
this to happen, and unless they have significant evidence of unprecedented voter fraud, then no, I would not accept it.
Mm-hmm. No, you're right. And I think part of it too is just that fact that it's not just what's provable and whatnot. That's almost irrelevant considering the way that the court was packed and how it all came together. It just it's not illegal. I don't know. It just the whole fucking thing still makes me sick to my stomach. The way they treated her memory, how he, the fact that RBG's last words were about her last wish was, just wait for the next president to choose, and he first thing he said was, "Oh, that's probably just the liberals' line." And that's like, dude, that's fucking low even for you, you know.
And all of their principles about 20 in the 2016 yeah, like they delayed the like what was the guy's name, Merrick Garland, Obama put forward,
Mhm.
and like 9 months before
Yeah,
the election, and
well,
they 12, and they even had them on record as saying that they would delay it for another 4 years if if Hillary won.
McConnell said
Right.
he has
And
no fucking fear of what the whole country thinks of him. He's just like, I have all the power and I will do whatever the fuck I want with it and say whatever I want. It's scary. The guy
right,
scares the fuck out of me.
right. People need to understand that there's no negotiating with that. You
Mm-mm.
don't try to appease him. He doesn't care. All you can do is get him out of office.
But he got a substantial amount of votes this year for this election. And that's like I've heard a lot of people from our side like, well, if you're gonna count our votes, count those too.
Yeah.
Fucking Kentucky, so I don't doubt it at all.
Right, right. But then again, I mean, Georgia and Arizona,
Yeah.
these states went blue.
You're welcome.
Which thank you for all the your printer must be on the fritz after all that, printing out all those ballots, huh?
That's right. It was like the first night I think I finally felt I passed out like 2 o'clock in the morning, and everybody else you're missing it. I'm like, God damn it, I missed the one fucking part that I could be proud of my state for. So yeah.
Really, really bad sleep patterns during election week, because it wasn't even like election day this time. It was like election week, and just staying up and watching these states slowly flip blue.
Yeah.
And it was really, really happy moments. Really happy
When it
moments.
first started though, like I think it was I don't know if it was the first night or the second night I woke up and looked at Twitter and just felt sick. I was like, fuck.
And people said that was going to happen for months. They said there's going to be a red mirage,
I know.
right? And I didn't listen to it either. I was like, oh fuck,
Yeah,
you
it
know.
didn't make it feel any. Well, what you were the one calming me down. And you were freaking out too.
Yeah, I mean, you can't do anything but freak out, especially when even Trump knew about the red mirage, which is why he tried to declare victory ridiculously that night. That night, I mean, you have states that are, I mean, there had to be states under 50% reporting, and he's sitting there declaring victory.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Ridiculous. Frankly, we did win this election. Like, oh God, come on.
Mm. No, it was bad.
You have people yelling to stop the vote where, you know, Biden is ahead, and then people yelling to count, or no, I'm sorry, the other way around.
Yeah.
Where Trump is ahead, they want the vote stopped. Where Trump is behind, they want the vote counted. It's so transparent.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but like, and that's the thing. Like, what kind of cognitive dissonance do you have to suffer from to be on that side and watch it? It's not like it was, the people that were shouting stop the votes didn't know about the people on the other side of the country doing the opposite. Everybody knew it was happening, and they're totally okay with it. They somehow it is justified in their head, and I don't understand how they come to that.
Right. And what they do is they spread these fake stories about voter fraud, and all of these stories that I've looked into turned out to be bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
All of them. And now, like, what's amazing is, like, they keep making more bullshit stories, as they get knocked down. They come up with more. Like, now it's the voting machines. Now the voting machines were all in. Now they're all in on it. And
you know what I think is funny about the voting machines, though, is I'm wondering when the whole, these voting machines suck, go buy Ivanka. Is like, when does that like? So, sorry.
Yeah, like the voting machines. They say that all these voting machines were used in the states, in like Pennsylvania and Nevada and Arizona and Georgia, the problem states. They were used in like 26 of the states, though. Like, what about where Trump won?
Yeah,
the states where Trump won. You wanna redo those too?
No, of course not, because
no.
Yeah, it's so insane. It is absolutely insane. And the whole, they really cannot. Was it somebody mentioned how you can't, you look at all of Trump's rallies and look at all the boat parades and all that shit, but then go back and look at Joe's rallies, how pathetic those were. But like, there was a fucking reason for that. Trump was literally killing people with his rallies. Biden barely held any for a fucking reason.
Yeah, they keep repeating that over and over again, and you have to keep telling them that was on purpose. He did that on purpose.
Mm-hmm.
Also, another thing they don't realize is that it wasn't as much an election for Biden as it was against Trump.
Mm-hmm.
People would have voted for any damn warm body against Trump.
Yeah.
I wasn't enthusiastic about Biden at all. I'm not going to put a damn Biden sign in my yard, but my vote counts just as much as the guy who puts a Trump sign in his yard.
Yeah.
I was going to say something about those. A funny thing about those machines. Like, Trump posted this video that tries to imply that the machines are involved with the fraud, and you watch the video and it's just a guy going like, these hackers are able to take apart this machine and mess around with it. And like, okay, there's no evidence, right? They don't have any evidence that the machines flipped votes, but what they do have evidence of is that if you give a screwdriver to a guy, he can unscrew a panel and pull the guts out.
Plus, that they're doing that like in the middle of all the voting too. So
right. They have 200 people there, and they're like, well, if you can get this machine by itself in a quiet place where nobody can see, and you have, 15 minutes, it's like, where's the evidence?
God.
Show me that. Don't tell me what's possible. I
Mhm.
want to know what actually happened.
That's the thing, is so much of this is like, because of course prior to a single vote was cast that they were, pushing this idea forward because they knew they were going to use it. But they keep stating these, things that probably happened or could happen.
Mm-hmm.
Do they not understand how A, facts, work, and B, I could as easily say there's a fucking team of leprechauns coming in and switching out the votes for all Kanye. Speaking of which, that was when Angel was upset that Kanye wasn't on the vote on the ballot here because he thought that was hilarious. So
Yeah. Well, also keep in mind, whenever they say that this could be done, you could always say, okay, well, how do you know Trump didn't do that then?
Mm-hmm.
How do you know Trump shouldn't have 65 million votes or 62 million votes instead of what he does have?
Yeah. No, and that's every time that he does something wrong, though, he turns around and points in the opposite direction.
Oh, yeah, that's another thing. The actual cases of election shenanigans, all the ones I've seen that have been proven were by the Republicans.
Mm-hmm.
They set up those fake ballot boxes in California.
And they kept him out.
Yeah. After the judge told them they can't do that, they kept them out anyway. That means ballots from both Republicans and Democrats were in the hands of solely Republicans.
Mm-hmm.
Who knows what if they did anything? Maybe. You have elections here in Florida for state senate where the Republicans they hired people to run third party who had the same last name as the Democrat.
Are you fucking kidding me?
No, this is I have news articles on this, and siphoned the vote, and it worked too. They siphoned votes off of the Democrat, and the news tried to find out who these people were. They didn't do any campaigning. They didn't even have a pic. They didn't even submit a picture, so they had to use a silhouette. Their addresses were wrong. They had to like track these people down, and like they found that they were all funded by the same fucking yeah. And there was 3 of those here in Florida, that 3 different elections. Yeah. That's really shady shit.
That's kind of shady, yes, but actually kind of brilliant too. And this, I've said this like fucking billion times, but if you have to fucking cheat to win, you don't deserve to win. And that's all they seem to do is cheat. That's all they seem to do is just cheat and lie.
And it doesn't even get into the usual stuff like gerrymandering and like
it was out of control this time around, but because it was overshadowed by everything else, it gets passed over.
Right. So we have one side where they're doing like every dirty trick in the book to just cling to power.
Mm-hmm.
And then they're accusing the other side of this massive, like tantamount to faking a moon landing conspiracy where you have like multiple states across an entire nation where it would have to be like a bipartisan effort, because it's even happening in Republican areas like in Georgia, and in Arizona, where, you have, like wacky conspiracies of ballots being printed and shuffled and people being deleted, and like just this huge coordinated effort that works so flawlessly that we don't even have any evidence of like maybe these people should be running the government then, because that is one hell of an operation they got going. It sounds like they got their shit together.
That's the thing, is that they get into power and what do they do with it? They just consolidate more. Like they don't like look at Trump isn't a good example because he's never really worked. But I mean, even McConnell, his job is to just like hide all the bills that have been passed by the Democrats in the House. He has a special folder. It's called the fucking trash can. Like, it's so frustrating because nothing gets done because they don't actually care about doing anything for the country. It's about power. But what the fuck are they even gaining from this power? Am I missing something here?
They're enriching their circles, themselves and their circles. It's a it's a plutocracy. It's in, well, I don't know, but what I do know is that there needs to be a real draining of the swamp, and not just this phony bullshit. Like that shit resonated with people who were duped by Trump. That whole draining of the swamp thing, and all he did was make the swamp ever deeper. And it would be nice if, and I know Biden isn't going to help, but it would be nice if there was like a fundamental change. It would take people of real integrity to not bite from that forbidden fruit, where you have this golden opportunity to set yourself up, and it's like, okay, are you going to do this? Are you going to set yourself up like the way everyone else who came before you did in this situation? Or are you going to have integrity and actually, help the people who you're supposed to be representing? Put you there.
The country, remember us?
Yeah. And you know what? Historically, the people who decided not to take that opportunity, who decided not to take a bite of that forbidden fruit, and historically, they get fucking railroaded.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They're not playing the game. They're not the inside people. They're not opening the back door for people to get their cuts. They get fucked. So no, you're not one of us. You're gone. Those people all throughout history get backstabbed.
Do you think that's why Bernie is kind of stalled? Because he's actually done his job since he, became a senator?
He's been fucked over so many times. It's actually kind of shocks me that he keeps putting up with it.
Yeah. He loves this country. He really does. And he loves this country. And I like, I mentioned AOC earlier. I think she's amazing. And I like the relationship that they have. He seems to be kind of mentoring her. And I like that. I think she's great. I think he's great. So I would, man, too bad there's no way he could be president in 8 years, because like him with AOC as vice president, that'd be kind of great. So.
Yeah, how old is he now? He's getting up there.
He's like 78, I think.
Yeah, he's too. Yeah, he'll be too old.
Yeah, but maybe he can probably get more done with what he's, sticking with what he's doing now. So hopefully, maybe.
Yeah, it's things have changed a lot since I was a kid. When I was a kid, I used to look at politicians like people who knew things that I could not even begin to understand. They were like iconic figures who, who dealt with extremely complex scenarios, and had a extensive knowledge on national affairs and world affairs, and just constant work from dusk till dawn. I'm sorry, from dawn till dusk, and Just and as I got older, what became disconcerting was hearing politicians say stupid shit.
Do you think
It's like,
they always said stupid shit and you just grew up with it, or you think that they were actually different back then?
I think that that they were actually different back then. I think that you had instances of gaffes, of course, but now more than ever, I see politicians say things that are just factually incorrect, and that pop out as factually incorrect, and it's concerning to me that they're in these positions of power and they're able to make decisions or lack thereof regarding policy. Or a lot of times these people are deliberately put there to not do anything,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like a sneaky way to, deregulate, you might say.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, have the regulations, but put the figurehead in there who isn't going to enforce them.
Yeah.
But what's disconcerting is feeling like I could do their job better than they can, because years ago I would have never thought, I could be a president or something like that, and I still don't, but I at least think that I would do a better job than fucking Trump.
Oh yeah. I mean, come on.
Yeah, I
Angel
mean,
do a better job than fucking Trump. So
yeah, I mean, hell, just fucking play golf half the year, and you're, you know,
go
any whatever you spend the rest of your time doing besides golf, and that's going to be a step up.
right. Oh, okay. So we have, we're all, politicians. It's always going to be an issue. But what about the people? How do
Oh
we
yeah,
move forward as a country with the kind of divide that we have right now, let alone the just insanity that are the people that are still, strongholds.
yeah, that's a lot more complicated, a lot more difficult to deal with. These are this isn't going to be, because that's not going to be solved by just voting for a different guy to put in there, woman or whatever to put in there. It's These people are always going to be around. They're always going to have these wacky ideas, and Trump just get through a lit match, on this thing, on a big pool of gasoline. Um, these people were there before. They were bad before, but now they're rabid, and we have to figure out a way to diffuse the situation. And a big problem is they're not willing to listen. They're not willing to listen to reason. They think that everything's fake news. That they don't like is everything they don't like is fake news, and they're not going to listen. And if they don't have any evidence, they'll just manufacture it whole cloth, and somebody will manufacture it, and then enough people who sincerely believe it will spread it around and believe, and it's like trying to unring a bell, it's
But
so.
do we vilify them though, or do we try to like rehabilitate them?
Well, when you're talking about that many people who voted for Trump, you have what is it like now, like 73 million people. There's going to be a really big spectrum in that 73 million. And on one end of that spectrum, you're going to have people that are worth talking to and trying to convince. And at the other end, it's just, there's no way. There's no way you're going to get through to them no matter what. So it's kind of like now comes the arduous task of trying to determine who can actually be reached, and B, how to reach them. It's like trying to do a puzzle with a blindfold on. You can do it, but it's gonna.
You think they're reachable?
What was that?
You think they're reachable?
Um, a percentage of them are. I'm not sure how big that percentage is.
Yeah.
I do know that they don't care about hypocrisy anymore. That's out the window. Trump just retweeted somebody saying that everybody who voted for Biden is XYZ. I forget what it was. It was 3 different insults. One of them I didn't consider an insult because it was anti-Christian, but there was anti-American, anti-Christian. There was another one in there, but those 3 things. If you voted for Biden, that's what you are. Trump retweeted that. Now he's calling 78, almost 79 million people at this point anti-American and anti-Christian, and whatever that other thing was, I don't remember. But
I'm looking it up. It wasn't his tweet, right? It's just a retweet.
Right, it was a retweet, and Trump agreed with it. I forget what he tweeted, but he agreed with it. Progress, something about progress.
Remember when he said, like, he made that comment about Biden? He was like, he listened to the scientists. Like, at what point did our country reach this point where, it's a fucking insult to be educated? I don't get it.
Yeah, I mean, you stay on this track. You stay on this track, and we're going to become a third world country.
Oh yeah. Oh yes. Absolutely.
But this utter disregard for science and this lack of respect for expertise. Everyone thinks that they know better, without any studying, without looking into it. They think that reading a few biased articles that that confirm their biases, that that's research. But yeah, like if you think about it, though, Trump essentially throwing 80 million Americans under the bus like that. If you remember back to how much shit Hillary got for saying half of Trump supporters can go into the basket of deplorables.
Yeah.
She got fucking crucified for that. And now you have Trump throwing everyone who voted for Biden under the bus, and the people who support Trump are fine with that because fuck hypocrisy. And we have to try to reach these people who are so inconsistent. It's hard. It's hard. I do a lot of arguing with them.
Yeah. Speaking of which, you had quite the time prior to the election, gathering up some nice little tweets and stuff to point back and laugh at.
Right. Yeah. And that's another thing that we're going to do again once Biden is inaugurated, because they're still doing it. They're still putting takes out there. They're still posting stuff on the internet, and everything that goes on the internet stays on the internet. So they're still stupidly posting this shit like Biden's never going to be president, and it's going to be Trump 4 more years. There's nothing you can do about it. This SCOTUS is going to, they keep posting this stuff, and I keep on bookmarking it and screen capping it, just like I did when they said that it was going to be a Trump landslide.
Well, they're still saying it's a Trump landslide, though. They're still sticking to that narrative.
A big part of that is to save themselves from people like me who will laugh at them and say, you were wrong, and I told you were wrong, and you laughed at me before the election, but now look who's laughing. Well, this is a good way to save face.
Yeah.
Right? It was stolen. Well, now they're saying shit like Biden's never going to be president. Well, and they're looking at fucking maps that show Trump with more electoral college votes.
Yeah.
And so
Have.
yeah, so what's going to happen on January 20th when, Biden is sworn, or even after the electoral college votes in December 14th, something like that? What does concern me is the shenanigans that they do want to pull. Like, what there were faithless electors last election, which hadn't happened in 100 years.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, there was like 5 of them. Hillary lost 3 of them.
Do you think that's gonna happen again this time?
I mean, it happened last year, and that was just for Hillary. This is way more contentious, so that is disconcerting. I'm still confident that Biden is going to be the president.
Yeah. But you've had to tell me over and over again.
But
say.
yeah, and the game now, Trump's strategy now is to delay everything as much as possible. He keeps throwing these frivolous lawsuits into the courts, knowing that they're frivolous, but he wants to delay the certifications of the states.
And what does that accomplish exactly?
Well, if enough states are in question, he can try to get a decision in the Supreme Court, and they can they can try to get the Congress involved, and they'll have 1 vote per state, and there's more Republicans than Democrats. He could win that way. It depends though. Like, we have those runoff elections in Georgia.
Mm-hmm.
So if it's tied, then he would lose. But it's such a long shot that I don't think that's realistic. But there's a lot of people hanging their hats on scenarios like that.
Yeah, speaking of hanging their hats, why does it seem like nobody in the GOP is turning against him and saying, you know what, this is fucking wrong? And because you have to think that it's in their best interest to do so, continuing to, follow him blindly and be sycophantic about it. He's gone. He's leaving. And they still have elections to win.
I'm wondering if they're worried about a backlash because, after all, Trump did get a hell of a lot of votes.
Yeah, but just, I don't know. It seems like at some point, somewhere in the GOP, there has to be a halfway decent person to say, I'm going to put my country before this fucking crazy, demagogue wannabe. Like, no?
Yeah. I don't know.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, maybe they really are just that shameless.
It's so frustrating that just none of them. Like, we need, fucking, I can't really miss McCain. Like, it just, we need someone that, McCain, I live in Arizona, so I have some respect for him, but he did always put, his country first. And that seems to not have happened very much in the GOP over the past 4 years at all.
Yeah, Trump is a special case because
yeah, a little bit.
yeah, the way he can get away with stuff is it's really anomalous. Like, normally you can't have somebody disrespecting McCain the way Trump did and get away with it.
Yeah.
But not only did he get away with it, he turned people against McCain. And McCain and Trump, regardless of what you think of their politics, and I can understand having issues with McCain's politics, but regardless of that, have to understand that these are very different people. You know,
Yeah.
Trump is all in it for himself. It's all about self-preservation and self-promotion. With McCain, like Trump isn't. McCain was a pilot in Vietnam who was shot down and was a POW for 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
I like people who don't get killed.
right. I mean, can you picture Trump doing any of that or going through any of that, surviving any of that?
No.
Fuck no. He couldn't even make it to boot camp.
No.
These are two totally different people, and what pisses me off is that Trump comes out ahead in that contest. You know?
Yeah. And he always did. And that's, the nature of the beast. He's always had more opportunity. Like, he has squandered so badly too. The amount of money that man has lost is just staggering.
That's the thing about once you reach a certain amount of wealth, and and you can do that. Like, you can have these huge fuck ups and still come out on top. It's so much easier to make a lot of money when you already have a lot of money. And that's one of the things about being poor, is if you don't have a lot of money, it's really hard to make more money. But when you have a lot of money, it's really easy to make a lot of money.
Yeah.
That's the way our system is set up. Money does the work for you. It's kind of insidiously the opposite of what a lot of these pull yourself up by your bootstraps people think. They think that you're poor, you're lazy, and that's why you're poor and all. And a lot of times it's the exact opposite. A lot of times it's people with a lot of money who can afford to be lazy because their money works for them. They can invest. Investments don't typically require a lot of hard labor. So if you have a lot of money, you can put it all in a lot of good places and not have to do anything. But if you're poor, and you just want to be able to keep a roof over your head, a lot of times you might have to end up working 12 hours a day. And they're being called lazy, because they're poor. That whole misconception is infuriating to me.
Same goes with immigrants who also, tend to be poor because they're paid less and under the table. Immigrants, especially, it's probably going to be the wrong thing to say, but illegal immigrants kind of carry this country on their back. So,
Yeah, a large percentage anyway. And a lot of people don't even realize this, but I mean, our country isn't at replacement rate, a birth rate that is at replacement levels.
Yeah.
We're below replacement levels. So without immigration, this country dies. And what they don't understand is that if you bring people in and give them a chance to become a part of the country, that's a good thing. You want to do that before you have the birth rate problem, where your country, like what's going on with Japan, like where you're getting an elderly populace that needs to figure out a way to take care of itself. It's good to see the problems that others have and kind of preempt those. Have your solutions in place, so that they don't. Well, this proactive thinking, this preempting problems, is not something that we like to do, I've noticed.
Thinking ahead, not so much.
Yeah, especially with like foreign policy. People blame the current administrations for what started in past administrations. A lot of our problems in the Middle East began with Reagan, and we can fault people like Obama for perpetuating them. We cannot fault Obama for starting it. We can fault Obama for not finishing it. But too many people see it as Obama starting it. And too many people don't see it as Trump. Like they literally think that Trump is anti-war. And what's baffling to me is that, you know, Trump increased everything Obama was doing. He increased drone strikes. There's more civilian casualties under Trump. He broadened the wars. He did not pull us out of them.
Well, they see, you know, certain little snippets because they see, you know, like what he 5,000 troops, but then a month later he sold our troops to fucking Saudi Arabia. So,
and he sells weapons to Saudi Arabia, billions of dollars in weapons, and they cause a genocide in Yemen, and these are problems that are going to reverberate throughout history, throughout the generations to come. And these problems that are being helped along by Trump, I'm not going to say he's the sole problem, but he's definitely helping to cause these problems. These situations, and where you're gonna have a migrant crisis, right, from these destabilized countries, and you know, countries in Europe are going to be taking in migrants, and as usual, people on the left are going to be blamed, and it's going to be considered a good thing and a right-wing thing to close borders as a solution. And my whole thing is, like I was saying before, is preempting these problems. So maybe, you know, don't sell a bunch of arms to Saudi Arabia, and maybe, you know, like back in Reagan's time, don't side with the mujahideen to fight against the Russians. I can't pronounce it, but like you know, this stuff comes back. These policies, the enemy of my enemy is my friend. These policies come back and bite us in the ass.
yes.
And then we play the blame game, when we can, you know, go back in time and see where they originated and see who's to blame. But people want to obfuscate.
Look at what Trump has done to just our relationships in general, to our allies around the world, and yet stood beside fucking Putin and Erdogan and fucking best friends with Kim, you know? Like,
yeah, people point to trivial shit like well, maybe I shouldn't say it's trivial, but they'll point to stuff like Trump visiting Kim Jong-un in North Korea, and they'll point to stuff like that and say, see, historic, we would be at war right now, or North Korea would, you know, they say all these hypotheticals if Hillary were in office, right? But the truth of the matter is that North Korea had tremendous strides in developing their weapons while Trump was in office, and Trump didn't do anything about it. They developed nuclear ICBMs that can reach American soil, which was unheard of until Trump came into office. Experts thought that North Korea was at least 15, 20 years away from being able to do that. But what happened under Trump was a lot of world leaders saw Trump as the golden opportunity to get shit done, because he's an absentee president. He's an empty suit. He's like, he does a couple of unpredictable things here and there, you know, that might make people nervous, like drone striking an Iranian general, but which is, you know, incredibly reckless in and of itself. I'm not saying I know all the ins and outs of the wisdom of doing that, but pulling out of the Iran deal, like, so
understand it, and that's the problem with like a bunch of the shit that he pulled out of. Obviously, very obviously didn't understand Paris, took us out of it. No, took no time whatsoever to attempt to understand Iran because it's or Iran, sorry. Um, he doesn't take any time whatsoever to put effort into understanding the things that he is fucking up around the entire. And it's not just the U.S. that suffers for this. Like I said in my climate video about the last one I did, him pulling us out of Paris, it has ripple effects throughout the entire planet. It does not take this into consideration, not just because he's stupid and doesn't care, but he made us very American centric or America centric, and that alone is dangerous.
Yeah, that plays up with his base. They like that nationalism, but what they need to understand is that we're facing a global problem. We have to be concerned with the rest of the world. We have to be concerned with what China is doing, with what other countries that are becoming industrialized are doing. There has to be new standards. We have to be involved with those standards. And as far as Iran goes, I literally think that his understanding boils down to it was an Obama deal, and he's all about undoing everything Obama ever did. That's all he cares about. He has a vendetta,
unless he can take credit for it.
If it's a good thing that he could take credit for.
Like the thing, I can't remember what it was, the Veterans Act or something like that.
Right. His whole shtick is erasing Obama's legacy, and the Iran deal was Obama.
Why? Do you think it's a racist thing? You think it goes deeper? What the fuck is his deal with Obama?
I mean, it sounds. Well, he's. If you look at his history, like he's always been extremely harsh on Obama. Like if you look at his Twitter, you can go back to like tweets from 2012 where he's just railing on Obama, and so he's always had this obsession with Obama. If you look at that, what was that one night where they roasted Trump? When Obama roasted Trump in front of his face.
The journalist thing, whatever, right?
Yeah, that they stopped doing.
Under Trump because he didn't want to be roasted.
Right, because of his ego. The name is on the tip of my tongue. That dinner. That dinner that they do.
It's just the C or something. I don't fucking remember. Yeah,
but yeah, he was seething.
Yeah,
he was furious, like
on his face, like he's gritting his teeth while he's smiling, pretending, to fit in. But he was,
other people who go through those things, those correspondence dinners or something like that.
That's what it is.
Correspondence, yeah.
I told you.
He like other people. They know it's a joke. They all laugh along with it. And like when Obama said, at least, he chided him something about like at least he something about being president. At least he'll be president. At least I don't remember what it was, but yeah, it was a joke about how Trump is never going to be president. Yeah, and I think that was probably the moment just Trump decided to
because he had birtherism well before that.
Oh yeah, he was always going after Obama, but I think
the question is why though? Why such a hate on for Obama? He used to be I understand why he changed over from Democrat to Republican. He even said it that, you know, Republicans will, you can do whatever you want with them. They'll listen, they'll follow. But I don't want to take too many liberties here, but I feel like I feel he really is super racist, and the fact that, you know, he's a black president, like, you know, he did not like that. That was I think to him that was a stain on our country. To be honest with you, like he still fucking calls the Central Park Five guilty. You know, regardless of the fact that they've. I'm pretty sure they even found the real killer, but you know, he's they admitted to it. Well, you got a bunch of teenagers, you know, locked in a room for hours on end with no food and water without their parents, and like, you know, there's a story behind it, but like it doesn't matter to him.
There was like DNA evidence, right, that exonerated them.
Mm-hmm. It was 12 years later or something like that, and he still said, "No, they you know confessed, therefore they're guilty." And honestly, if those were 5 little white kids, that would not have happened. Well, none of it would have happened if there were 5 little white kids, but you know what I mean.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there was an article just today that came out from a black woman who was on The Apprentice, who said that, you know, Trump kept flirting with her. She figured that he wanted to sleep with her and stuff. And I think this was like season 6, so he was married at the time.
Like that makes a difference.
Yeah, and but he she said, no, this is just, you know, going by what she says, you know, it's not like on tape or anything, but she says, and so I mean I believe her, because after all it's Trump, and it I'd believe her over Trump. I don't believe anything Trump says, but she says that you know, at the time she was dating a black guy who's an Olympian, and Trump told her that she really should stop messing around with the black guys, you know, that you know, they don't have. She asked him why, and he says because they don't have any money, you know, and like, I mean, I could see Trump saying shit like that. I know, like, you know, he can't prove it, but I mean, it's plausible to me that he would say shit like that, and it's. I know it's not, you know, 100% proof or anything, but it's, you know, another straw on the camel's back. That, you know, it's like you have a lot of instances of people who know Trump, who've worked with Trump, who, you know, have been involved with Trump on a personal level, who say that the guy is fucking racist. And what are you doing? Are you getting all of these people together and forming a big conspiracy to paint Trump as racist, or is he actually doing this stuff? And I think that, you know, Occam's razor, the latter is what's more likely. I think the guy is just probably racist.
I mean, like, one of his first fucking things he said, you know, about the Mexicans being murderers and rapists, you know?
Yeah, he flipped it. Like, he flipped it. So, I assume some are good people, right? When it's really, you know, they're good people, and I assume some of them commit crimes. You know, that's the reality, right? Is that you have a large group of people, and, you know, most of them are going to be fine. They're going to be good people, and then you're going to have a small percentage of them that are going to be bad, and that's with, you know, any race, really. But with Trump, he flipped it. So, they're rapists and murderers and thieves, but I assume some of them are good people. So,
unlike the really good people, you know, that are fucking neo-Nazis, so
yeah,
on both sides, that he could say after they fucking killed that woman, you know, and drove through the crowd. I said something a few months back when he had called it the Wuhan flu, I think, and I racist. And he goes on Twitter, and I got a lot of shit for that. Oh, how is he racist? How is he racist? How is the Wuhan flu, you know, racist? Well, first of all, it's just, how do you explain that? Like, at what point? I don't know. He is blatantly racist. He is outwardly racist, but people will stick up for him to no end about it. I don't know how, the amount of brain work it takes to talk themselves into believing that he is a decent and smart man. I
Yeah.
just, then again, do they even care? Or do they like the asshole in it?
After 4 years of this, if they can't see it for themselves, then it's tough to see how they could be convinced.
Yeah.
I mean, because like they've had 4 years to be convinced, and to me, you can do this. You can do this with them. You can give them example after example after example, and they'll give benefit of the doubt after benefit of the doubt after benefit of the doubt. But what they don't realize is that look at this. Look at the preponderance. Look at all of these cases. Like from this one guy, are you telling me that this is all just a big fucking coincidence? Like, how many cases do you have of being accused of being racist? Maybe you got one, maybe you got two, I don't know. But when you have, scores of them, like
Yeah.
maybe you can nitpick one here and nitpick one there, but when you have scores of them, that shows a tendency.
Well, but he's done more for black people than any other president, maybe even Lincoln. Don't you know that?
That's another one of those hilarious NPC talking points. You know, they get they what surprises me is that they call people NPCs and then they just repeat Trump verbatim. Like 40 Trump has done more in 47 months than Biden has done in 47 years. Like how many times are you going to repeat that?
Yeah.
Trump has done more for black people and Latino people than any other president in his. Trump has created peace in the Middle East and like.
Yeah. That happened. Who was there there was a black I want to say congressman that was an activist and he died recently.
Oh, right.
Whatever I say, it's gonna sound racist because I'm gonna mess him up. But I want to say Herman Cain, but that doesn't seem right. Anyway, is it? I don't know. It doesn't matter. There was he had died. He did a lot for civil rights and all that kind of stuff. And during an interview, Trump was asked, about his feelings toward him, and to say
John
something.
Lewis. Is it John Lewis?
John Lewis was the other guy, but somebody in the chat tell us, please, because we're idiots. But he was like, "Oh well, he didn't even support me." Like, what?
Oh God.
What? Like they went on and on about all of this man's accomplishments, and he said something about him like not coming to his inauguration or some bullshit like that. Like I said nice things when he died, but he didn't support me. It's like, how do you even end up in that situation? How do you put yourself in there when they ask you just to speak on behalf of this amazing man? Like it is utterly confounding. It was John Lewis. Everybody's saying John Lewis. Okay, John Lewis it was. But yeah, but that's what he does with literally everything. The fact that he keeps, he's fucking jealous of the coronavirus right now, or he was before the election at least.
Yeah, it's his numbers. His ratings.
Mm-hmm. And that was he kept talking about like the whole reason he was having those daily coronavirus briefings. It wasn't, and that's why he was getting out there and just spouting shit, because it wasn't planned or anything. He just wanted to, be out there killing the ratings, because he would go out and I had my coronavirus briefing today, and all these people died, but dude, did you see the ratings, yo? Like who fucking thinks like that? It's insane.
Yeah, he's doing that even now. Like now that it's spiking again, coronavirus, and it's getting a lot worse, and he's tweeting about how Fox News's ratings is tanking because they're turning on him. Like any other president they would be doing nothing but talking about COVID-19 24/7. You know, all of the material that they put out would be covering COVID-19. That's the big issue right now. With Trump, it's Fox News ratings.
Sorry, it was Elijah Cummings. I knew it wasn't John Lewis. Thank you, Jerry Blaze. Sorry, Elijah
Cummings. But John Lewis was another one, right?
Yes, he was. I think he might have been Tea Party though. No, the Herman Cain was Tea Party. I don't fucking know.
Herman Cain died of COVID-19.
Yeah.
And what's amazing about that is his Twitter account is still active from somebody who continues to deny the severity of COVID-19. Which is just amazing to me.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, the fact that he is jealous of the virus and he's fucking jealous of Fauci. Like, what? This poor man has done nothing but like everything he can to save people's lives. And, you know, Trump it just loves throwing him under the bus.
Yeah, Fauci gets death threats. I mean, like, can you imagine? Can you imagine that? Like, you dedicate your life to helping people and you're trying to, you know, do your best, and this fucking buffoon game show host wanders into the Oval Office, and like, you're a doctor, you're an expert. You've studied years and years to hone your expertise in this field, and this buffoon tramples all over it. Jesus Christ.
I'm wrong. I mean, yes, obviously doctors can be wrong, but then you go and you point to fucking Satan rapist lady. Oh, she knows what she's talking about because she agreed with me.
It's absurd, and I just hope that one day the movie does it justice.
Yeah, we were talking about that.
Yes, there has to be a movie. I was hoping it was be Scorsese, but he might be too old by the time it's a movie.
Yeah, I know.
Although they do make movies fast nowadays, but
who play him?
it has to, it's such an unbelievable story. It you know, right down to the fucking Four Seasons landscaping.
Wait, but would it have to be one of his fans, like what's his face, John Voight, or would it have to be someone do him justice by portraying him honestly as the fuckwit that he is?
Yeah, it would have to be. I mean, let's be honest here. Reality itself is biased against Trump. I mean, objectively, he has done a shitty job. Objectively, I mean, if you don't agree with that, then there's some kind of malfunction going, some kind of misunderstanding going on that needs to be corrected, and I'm not sure if I'm the one who can do it, but he's fumbled his way through the presidency.
I think because I mean, he's gotten to the point now where he is just surrounded by yes men. If he had started off this way, how it couldn't have like sustained itself, right? Like, there's no way, like, even if he got the next 4 years, he wouldn't be able to keep it going because it's such a mess now that with just everybody agreeing to everything that he's saying.
It would be a significant test of our country, the way this country has been set up. The other branches, you know, the legislative and the judicial branch would have to step up, and
our judicial branch is kind of fucked though because it's his.
True. Well, 2/3 of it anyway would have to step up, but the other two branches would have to like step up and maintain some semblance of normalcy while this just absolute buffoon stumbles around in the executive branch. And it would be like having 2/3 of a government and 1/3 that's constantly sabotaging the other 2/3. Just it would be a test. It would be a test. I don't know if we could survive it, but
Well, I mean, look at what he does with his days. And I know it's much less now, but even beforehand, like if you look at his, because they publish his schedule, it's like, nothing until like 11, then it's some lunch meeting, and then like Fox News watching. He hasn't even had any of his intelligence briefings since October 2nd.
that's insane, really. And you know what gets me too is that his supporters think he's such a hard worker, and they base this on the fact that he does, like during the end of the campaign, he was doing endless rallies after rallies after rallies. So they think he's such a hard worker. He fucking wants to do those rallies.
Yeah.
Though that's fun for him. That's his recreation. He's getting his ego stroked. That's not work. He wants to do that. He's going to do that even after he's out of office.
Do you think his rallies are a part of the reason that he has this unreasonable expectation of the rest of the country? Because I think he really honestly thinks that the whole country are the people at his rallies, that nobody disagrees with him, because he keeps saying shit like everybody's favorite. And I know part of it is trolling, but sometimes I really think he believes that he's not only the best president of all time, but the most popular as well.
Yeah, he definitely has a skewed perspective, because he does, like you said, he surrounds himself with yes men. So that's one aspect of it. And then the other aspect of it is constantly exposing himself to these adoring fans. And then when he does see backlash against him, it's on the news, and which he considers to be fake, and it's protests and riots on camera where you can't really appreciate the scope of what's going on. He can't appreciate the fact that the election wasn't for Biden, it was against him, that more people than ever voted for a single person before came out and voted, and not because they liked him, but because they hated Trump.
Yeah.
And he doesn't understand that. He doesn't believe that. Part of the problem is that he surrounds himself with people who are yes men, people who fear disagreeing with him, people who fear giving him advice that he won't like, whereas a wise person would require criticism. They need that. If I were president, I would surround myself with experts in every area that I would need an expert in, and I would listen to them, not just do what they say blindly, but listen to their expertise and their reasoning behind their decisions. And if my initial thought is to do one thing and they're like, no, that would be bad, I would be all ears. Please tell me what's going on. What are you thinking? But with Trump, he's operating from this assumption that, he's this God, that he already knows. He knows he's the best. He's the best at everything. You ever notice how he always knows the more than anybody else about things, except for when it could hurt him, and then he doesn't know anything about it?
Like QAnon. I don't know anything about QAnon. I literally just told you what it was. Yeah, well, I still don't know about it.
Yeah, I don't want to take your word for it. Yeah, he knows everything about anything until it can hurt him, and then he doesn't know anything. It's just so transparent. Like, I don't understand how people don't see how transparent this is. Like, how simple-minded he is.
Do you think they see it as like power almost in a skewed way? I mean, obviously we don't. We know it's not, that it's weakness, in fact. But the fact that maybe other people, how he believes that he knows everything, it's he draws power from his lies.
And a big thing too, sadly, with a lot of people, is that they just like Trump because he fucks with people, and
Mhm.
because you know, he's still there, hand grenade in the system. Uh, that's how they think of him, and they want to, fuck with things, and they like seeing people upset. Um, and
Or not nicknames, the bullying. Nicknames
yeah,
is a word. This is the president of our country saying this shit. Like it's fucking nuts. I don't but at what point does he push everybody out? Because I use Fox as an example before. Fox, all they did was literally just report the results. That was it. And that turned his base against, like, if you, I don't know if you saw any of the video footage from outside the studio, but they were a bunch of MAGA were out there protesting at Fox, literally just because they had given. I think they had. It was when I think they called Arizona or something like that. Uh,
right.
like,
And that's what they don't get. They keep saying, "Oh, networks don't call elections. Networks don't call elections." What they don't understand is that all of these networks, they're getting their numbers from the Associated Press. Associated Press is getting their numbers right from the states, directly from the states.
yeah,
It's the networks aren't deciding anything. They're just reporting what the states are saying.
yeah,
And they don't get that. Like, why don't you want the news to say what the states are saying?
no.
Because you don't like the answer. It's as simple as that.
Mm-hmm. But I mean, where do they draw the line? Where do they get to decide? Okay, well, I mean, now we're wrong. Do they ever? I mean, I know Trump doesn't, but what about the people that follow him?
Here's what I think. I think that not from several years. I think that it's too raw. It would be eating crow. It would just be too hard right now. It would be, for a lot of people, being that in that far into it, and then like being and saying stuff like, this is 100% going to happen. I'm 100% right. And then the exact opposite happens. Being that wrong, I think it will be way too difficult for them to admit right now. But I think that a lot of times with people, if you give them time, years from now, it'll be way easier for them to say, "Oh yeah, I was wrong back then, but I'm different now."
Yeah.
You know, and there will be people, willing to forgive them. There will be people willing to go easier on them because there will time will have time to cool off. And so I do think that we could be in a better situation in a few years, and I'm hoping that's the case.
Mm. I, if we, you said to me something about taking a tiny bit of power back at a time, and I think that that's something that we have to take into consideration. Is that we all wanted this election to be the blue wave that we really desired, and that we were gonna flip the Senate and have the presidency and everything like that. But this shit really does. It takes time, and we have to be patient with it because so much went wrong in the past 4 years, and we have so much to fix. And it's not an overnight thing.
Yeah, yeah, and That's another thing too. Is with the Senate, um, another big reason that Trump was not reelected is because there were enough Republicans who voted against Trump
Yeah.
because they kept their Senate choices, and that's clear from the elections because the Democrats did not take the Senate. So
Mhm.
what they did was they voted. There was enough number of Republicans who voted for their senator, their Republican senators, but they voted for Biden, or they just didn't vote for Trump um, in the general election, and uh, so it's clear that this whole election fraud nonsense, if you want to go with that, then we're going to have to like redo the Senate stuff too, because those are the same. We're talking the same ballots here.
Yeah.
Uh,
Mhm.
if you can't just commit fraud on one part of the ballot but not the other, you have to toss the whole ballot, right? That means we got to redo the Senate races too.
Mhm. Yeah. Which they're not going to be happy about. So, what about all this money that's going to be thrown at it? Not just his legal battles, but all of it. How long do you foresee him taking this?
He's gonna milk it as much as any human could possibly milk anything. Like, if there's anybody who can milk this for what it's worth, it's him. And he's already doing that. Like, he's already trying to figure out how to profit from this, which is always what the presidency was to him. Was like
Mhm.
he will do things like donate his salary, his presidential salary. We're talking, a few $100,000 a year,
Mhm.
and then he'll turn around and overcharge the government
Oh,
for his own vacations to his own properties. He'll funnel foreign money into his own properties. He will rent out an entire floor of one of his buildings to Saudi Arabia, and it'll be vacant. It's just a way to funnel money into his businesses, and
or two.
he'll make hundreds of millions of dollars.
Hmm.
And then his supporters say, "Look at this man donating his presidential salary."
God, yeah, I know. It's so stupid. They're
And
so blind.
these are the same people who complain about virtue signaling, and they'll
Mhm.
say, "Look at him donating his salary while the guy's making hundreds of millions in the through the back door."
Mhm.
My hope is that there's enough there's enough legal avenue to take him down after he's out of office.
Mhm.
He have all the shenanigans with his taxes. He's been in trouble with fraud before. He was embroiled in a fraud case before he took office. He had to settle a $25 million case with Trump University before he was even allowed to take office.
Yeah.
And hopefully, there's enough. There's enough evidence to nail him for everything he's been doing as the president, and hopefully that can come back and bite him when he gets out. Because there's just stuff that seemed obvious to me that it was fucked up. Emoluments clause violations, and
Uh,
just insanely corrupt. He's just an insanely corrupt person who sold himself as the guy who was going to clean it all up.
mhm. And did pretty much the opposite. So, what about his family? How fucked are his kids?
Oh, they'll come out on top, I'm sure.
Because I
He's
think at least DJ TJ and Ivanka are in quite a bit of trouble.
it would be nice. It's funny how their whole how, like, they said that COVID was going to disappear on November 4th,
Yeah.
And did you notice what really disappeared? Was
Did
all of their huh?
all of them leave?
No, no. What really disappeared was all of their concerns regarding
Oh,
Hunter Biden.
oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Of course. I mean,
Like you remember that, like the laptop, like this is DEFCON 4 situation. China is gonna be in control, blah blah blah, right? Like sky is falling every day. Hunter Biden, oh my God, sky is falling. Hunter Biden, and then Trump loses the election, and then crickets with Hunter Biden.
no,
That's no concern anymore.
that was insane though. Or I know it's been 2 hours. I'll wrap it up soon. I promise. um, but the pathetic nature of the Hunter Biden thing, because they were so desperate to get like a Hillary's emails thing in. They didn't even try what came from Bannon's company and all that shit. Like it was very obvious. So
Yeah, and what I find funny though is that like the stuff they're accusing Biden's son of doing is everything that Trump's kids are doing and more. Like Trump's kids are like actually in the White House doing stuff. Like they're deeply involved with businesses, with foreign affairs. Like they're not elected. We did not elect Trump's kids, yet they're acting, basically as our government in a lot of different ways.
God, Kushner, Jesus fucking Christ. What's hilarious is when you listen to any of his supporters, the Trump supporters, talk smack about Hunter Biden and how awful it is that he would gain anything at all from his father's power, and then like the interviewer will immediately ask about like, oh, Trump or Ivanka or TJ. Oh, they're wonderful. Look how much they're doing. Like,
Jesus Christ.
like how do you not see that? So.
When you look at Trump's kids, are you seeing people who could have gotten where they are if they weren't born to Trump, if they were just, an average Joe like us? Like, could they have gotten to where they are, like in the White House?
Oh, God.
Obviously not. Obviously not. Yeah, they're bumbling idiots.
But the one that seems to has the most power isn't even his kid though. Like Kushner is just the jack of all trades for some reason. I don't understand that at all. Why he has this great deal of belief. Is he jealous of Kushner because Kushner gets the fuck Ivanka? Like, I don't know.
Well, the creepy shit he said, it wouldn't surprise me. But I don't know, maybe Ivanka has some kind of control over her dad, and since
that's true. That's true.
that's her husband, so he gets special privileges.
Irish DC says, weren't there photos of the Japanese Prime Minister at Mar-a-Lago with Trump, which included the guy who holds the nuclear football? Remember about that? Do you?
I vaguely remember something like that from a couple of years ago.
It would not surprise me at all. So.
I mean, yeah, Trump is so incompetent. I'm genuinely surprised that worse stuff hasn't happened.
I know.
And as bad as it has been, I'm kind of surprised that there must be a lot of people around Trump like barely holding shit together.
Oh yeah. Most definitely. There's a lot of really rich doctors in the DC area, especially psychiatrists right now. So I guess to wrap it up, where do we go from here?
Well, hopefully everything goes smoothly with the transition, despite all of the ruckus coming from Trump's side. Hopefully that's much ado about nothing, and everything goes smoothly. And then what I suspect will happen is that COVID will continue to get worse, and Biden will naturally be more strict about it than Trump. He will enact more strict measures to in response to the worsening pandemic. And unfortunately, he's going to get a lot of backlash from that, especially from the Trump people who are going to say that that Trump was right all along, that he's destroying the country, that he's using the pandemic to turn us into a communist country. And
Yep.
who knows what happens from there.
Do we forget about Trump and try to move forward, or do we try to keep him in the front of our minds for as long as we can in order to avoid this?
Honestly, I don't think we'll have a choice, because I think that Trump is going to insert himself into our lives, just like, always. He is addicted to the spotlight, and he's going to do everything he can to stay in it until the day he dies.
Yeah, it's true. I guess thank you for coming.
Leaving on a positive note there, right?
It is. This is positive as it can be. I mean, we won. That's awesome. That's that's our positive moment. Because for fuck's sake, we were in all sorts of trouble if we lost. So
yeah. Yep.
But yeah. So Fridays at 7 p.m. on Twitch, DarkMatter2525 / twitch.tv. Everything's in the description. And you have your cartoon should be coming out soon, right?
This month before December, so I have to get it done in the next 2 weeks. But it's a difficult animation. It's a continuation of my Power Corrupt series. So it's elaborate and it's a lot of work.
No, I know how hard you've been working on it. But thank you for coming. Thank you for being my friend. Thank you for everything.
Yeah, I'm honored to be here. I'm sorry, it's nothing but complaining, but
that's what we do. That's
yeah.
Remember I told you we're gonna be those little old ladies, sitting on the park bench, just fucking bitching about everything.
Yeah, we're not gonna be happy unless we're complaining about stuff.
But thank you everyone in the live chat for coming. Sorry we were late. That was totally my fault, but I appreciate you all sticking around. So
no, it's my fault. I was the one that showed up late.
Make sure, like I said, links are in the description, but for fuck's sake, everybody knows DarkMatter. So thank you everyone for coming. Thank you to MathPig and Momma for producing, and we will see you next week. Don't forget.
Okay.
Quickly.
Thank you. Good night.
Night.